So today we're going to talk about bathing and dressing as we're working through basic self-care activities as a meaningful activity, or the forgotten value of ADLs. So bathing and dressing, what are we looking for when we are doing bathing and dressing? Well, a lot of this is going to be very repetitive by the end because for every single one of these activities, we want to promote and maintain a level of involvement in in a person's basic self-care tasks. It also provides cognitive stimulation and maintains a person's abilities. It can help to keep a person, our loved one's range of motion, flexibility, and strength. It helps our loved one to promote their own self-esteem and provides them with maximal independence, as well as a choice in participation of their own valued activities. We always want to use safe and familiar items like soap, shampoo, and toothpaste, and always remember to set up the environment prior to completing a task and gather the needed supplies in order to limit or decrease decrease the person's potential acting out. And always perform activities one-on-one in the appropriate location or environment for the task. We always need to remember to provide close supervision with unfamiliar products and supplies, and provide close supervision to prevent falls, burning, and slippery floors, for example, with bathing. And remember to provide rest breaks for the person as needed, and try to avoid background noise, talking, radio, television, Alexa, things like that. So as usual, we are going to first look at the early stages. During the early stages of dementia, people are still very much able to do their own bathing and dressing tasks. They still understand that bathing and dressing are usual activities of daily living and can sequence themselves through most of the steps to complete these activities. They usually can attend to an activity for up to 20 minutes, and they may only need one or two cues in order to perform appropriately. Typically, they can still choose their own clothing to wear and use preferred products when they are doing self-care tasks. They may be able to do all of the steps, but will likely lack quality in performing their self-care. For example, things like missing belt loops, their shirts not being tucked in, or missing hidden areas during bathing tasks. We want to encourage participation and not necessarily the quality, and provide cues and correction as needed. Always remember to place items within 3 to 4 feet of where they need them and in a familiar location. People at an early stage are still usually able to scan their environment and find things if they are within sight. We want to choose the most familiar items for the highest level of their independence, and only use one step verbal directions. Don't do two things at the same time. For example, saying, let's let's put the soap on your washcloth and wash your face. Do one at a time. And people at an early stage will usually complete things at a much slower rate of completion. Here's a quick tip though. Limit the choices of a person's closet and drawers, and try to leave their try and select frequently used items and put them in view. I'm not talking about lots of different things, but just the frequently used items. You can try labeling drawers and doors with items, and if they cannot read, you can use pictures, and try to limit clutter as much as possible in the person's environment. That will make it a lot easier for them to complete their self-care tasks. At a middle stage or a moderate stage of dementia, regarding bathing and dressing, the person may not understand the purpose of the bathing and dressing activity anymore, but they can still usually derive some pleasure or satisfaction in helping complete these activities. Remember, at this phase, people can only attend 5 to 15 minutes, And they may need intermittent cues to continue the movements. For example, this is where you'll see somebody repetitively washing the same part of their body but not moving on to the next part. So that's when you may need to say, you've washed your arm, let's move on to your belly or your legs. The person may need a visual or hand-over-hand assistance to actually start the movements or continue the movements of the self-care task. Once they have started, they can typically continue with the bathing or dressing with only cues to complete. The clothing and safe supplies need to be within arm's length in front of them, not 3 to 4 feet, because they won't scan their environment anymore. They will need cues to go to the next step of the task. For example, put your arms through the sleeve, pull the shirt around your back, or button your shirt. So step-by-step directions. You will also need to fix the quality, but praise the person's involvement. You've done a good job. Thank you for helping me. Quick tips for this level is lay out the items needed in order that they need to be used. So, for example, the bra, then the shirt, then the underpants, then the pants, then the socks, then the shoes. Don't try to have them all bundled together. You want to do one thing at a time. You want to hand items to the person one at a time. One-on-one sequencing of steps may be needed at this time. Sometimes you can show them, give them a visual demonstration. They can still imitate. And larger fasteners will be helpful when you get to this point. Bathing and dressing in the late stages, likely they are not going to understand the purpose behind the bathing or dressing tasks. So they will have no awareness of quality at all anymore. The person may still be able to participate in aspects of it, for example, brushing their hair or washing their face. They may be able to pick up their arms to put in the sleeves or stand up to pull up their pants. You will have to provide them with a safe environment. Do not expect any safety awareness at this stage. For example, if a wheelchair or a walker is needed, the person will not know how to use them safely. Quick tips at this level: only expect large movements of the person's body parts, things like postural adjustments, like leaning forward or standing up. They will need visual and hands-on cues with verbal reminders in order to participate in activities at this level. So bathing and dressing at the end stages, this is what to expect. They do not understand the purpose of bathing and dressing, and they will require your total assistance for all bathing and dressing. Typically at this point, we want to try to use what we call sensory stimulation, and remember to try to use all 5 of the senses. So here are some suggestions at this level. For example, say, here, look, this is your favorite sweater. Auditory stimulation during bathing is, say, here, listen, can you hear the water running? Tactile stimulation during bathing is, feel the warm, soapy water. Smell or olfactory stimulation is, let's smell your favorite soap. And gustatory or taste is not appropriate during bathing and dressing. These are the people who will try to eat the soap. Some quick tips at this level is things like postural adjustments are more limited. The person will need physical assistance with moving. Only expect large movements of their body parts. Visual and hands-on cueing with verbal cues will be necessary, and they will have a very hard time letting go of items. So you may have to actually be careful what you put in their hands, because they may not be able to let go of the item when you need them to release it. Sometimes if you have to perform a task for a person at this level, you can give them something to hold while you are actually performing the task for them.